No way! No way! Oh my gosh. Okay. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. This is Maja Nick here, and for today's topic, I'm going to be talking about, is empowering enchants good? And if it is, which enchants should you empower? So let me start off by showcasing exactly what empowering enchants does. So if we come over to here, where it says empower enchants, you're going to see that it lasts for 8 hours. So this is going to be something very important to keep in mind, but I'll talk more about this later on. So if we take a look, you can see all the enchants are here, but you'll probably notice there's a lot of enchants missing. Like for example, you can't empower something like fortune, or really anything else besides these few enchants. So you can empower coins, critical, diamonds, lucky eggs, strong pets, tap power, and I think that's everything. Oh no, you can empower magnet and speed. So those are all the ones you can empower. And obviously it depends on which enchant you're going to be using and what exactly the empower does for each enchant, but it's quite simple. It pretty much just makes any enchant stronger. If we take a look at the coins IX, normally it gives 180% more coins from breakables, but if we take a look at the empowered one, it gives 270% more coins. That's a really big buff, and it makes it 90% stronger. For the criticals, instead of 26%, it goes up to 32%. For diamonds, instead of 60%, it goes to 75%. For lucky eggs, instead of 155%, it goes up to 193%. For strong pets, instead of 135%, it's 189%. For tap power, instead of 800%, it's wow, 1600%. That's actually a crazy difference. It's literally twice as strong. For treasure hunter, instead of 50, it goes up to 70, which that's also pretty good. For magnets, instead of 25 distance, it goes up to 37 distance. And for speed, instead of 100%, it goes up to 150. But I'm assuming most of you are not going to really care for the speed or magnet empowerments because they're really not all that useful. Those enchants are just pretty bad. But now that we understand which enchants can be empowered and what each of them do, now let's get into how you actually empower them. So directly behind the empower enchant, you're going to see it says enchant essence, turn books into essence. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up, and you could pick any of these enchants. It looks like just about any enchant you can pick. Some of them are missing, but most of them are here. So if you don't need any enchants, like especially the magnet ones are very useless, you can just go ahead and turn them into essence. But here's the bad part about this. Look how much it costs. For 17.8 thousand essence, it costs 1.78 million. That's a bit expensive, I'm not going to lie. And especially since it lasts for 8 hours, this is going to be mainly useful for players who are able to farm up a lot of money very quickly. So if you're not able to, and you're a newer player, or you just don't have a good setup, empowering enchants is something you probably want to hold off on, just because I feel that it'll probably hinder you more than it will help you. But if you're very rich and you can farm up tens of millions of diamonds easily, then you know, it's really not that big of a deal, and it will make your farming a lot more efficient. So for this video, I'm going to go ahead and make the 17.8 thousand for almost 2 million, which is kind of crazy. So I'll hit OK. There we go. Now I have almost 18,000 essence. And then once you have your essence, you're going to come back over here to the empower enchant, and you're just going to choose exactly which enchant you want to empower. But here's where it gets interesting. You can see that we spent almost 2 million diamonds for 17.8 thousand essence, and look how much it costs just to empower one enchant, 14.4 thousand essence. So basically, you're only able to empower one enchant for every 1.5 million diamonds, roughly. I don't know the exact number, but it's around there. So you're spending 1.5 million diamonds for a stronger enchant that lasts 8 hours. And I'm going to go ahead and power up my diamonds enchant, and I'm going to click OK. And there we go. Success. You empowered an enchant. So now you can see that instead of the 60% boost, it's 75% now. So I'm going to hit OK. And then I'm going to open up my inventory, go to my enchant loadout. And then you could see here, it's counted as a separate enchant. So it's not going to be stacked with your other diamond enchants. It's its own thing. And it kind of looks like a shiny enchant, similar to how the shiny pets look. So I'm going to remove my diamonds enchant, put on the empowered one, and there we go. Now I just have a stronger enchant that's going to last for 8 hours. So is there really a noticeable difference when you have a full loadout of all empowered enchants? Yeah, there is a noticeable difference for sure. I tested it out myself. I was gaining items quite a bit faster, and I was gaining diamonds faster as well. So it is useful, but here's one major downside for this. I made a community post about this early this morning when I first woke up, and I had farmed overnight, and it ended up being over 8 hours long. So the empowered enchants that I had on, which was almost my whole setup, they eventually ran out. And you want to know what happens when your empowered enchants run out? This is really bad. It removes the enchant from your loadout. So this is what it would look like once it runs out. It'll just be one spot missing, or if you have all these missing, it would look like this. And it doesn't get replaced by a normal diamonds book or a normal enchant, whichever one you boosted. So basically, if you're away at school or at work, or you're just sleeping, or you're just not by your computer, you're just not playing the game and you're auto farming, this is pretty bad, because after the 8 hours is up, your entire loadout gets completely messed up and you're going to be farming way slower. You're probably going to be wasting all your boosts that you put on. Like if you put all your expensive potions on and you ran as many fruits as you could, all your toys that you can, all those are pretty much going to be wasted. Not entirely, but they're not getting put to the best use that they could have, because your enchant loadout is going to be all wacky. Now, if you're an active player or you're just around to be able to check your computer, this is really not a big issue. But if you're someone like me who AFKs all the time, like 95% of my playtime just goes to AFKing. So empowering enchants for people like me is almost useless. Again, if you're around your computer to check it, then it's fine, but otherwise you don't want to be doing this. And I don't know why it's set like this. I think they should just have it so where once your empowered enchant runs out, you just swap it out with the regular unempowered enchant. I don't know why they didn't think of implementing this in the first place, and I think it would be a quick, easy fix anyways if they wanted to do this, which they definitely should, because people are not going to want to use this new feature in the game. Even though it is pretty decent, it's just not going to be worth it to spend your money, have it be stronger for 8 hours, but then the rest of the time that you're auto farming away from your computer, your whole setup's going to be ruined. So that's just an unfortunate truth of this part of the update so far. I have a feeling they're going to fix it though, just because I'm sure people will complain about it, and rightfully so. I mean, it's a stupid feature to have it completely mess up your setup, but let me talk about which enchants you should actually empower. So the ones that I don't recommend empowering are going to be the following: coins, tap power, speed, and magnet. Now, the reason I say this is because those enchants, for the most part, are kind of useless. Not entirely. They have its place, like especially magnet and tap power. Those are pretty solid. Magnet, obviously, if you don't have the super magnet enchant or you're not using magnet flags, then you're obviously going to be using magnet 3. But I don't really see a point in increasing its radius, and especially not for 1.5 million. That's just not worth it. And then for tap power, it's going to double the strength of it, which is good, but how often are you going to really need tap power? You're only going to be using it for something like chest rush, or if they have more events like that St. Patrick's event they were doing recently where you have to break all the chests on that rainbow road and then you can go and hatch the special egg. Then tap power is good for those specific things. Other than that, when are you ever going to be using this? So I don't recommend it for that. And then for speed, I feel like this is quite self-explanatory. Nobody ever runs a speed enchant. This is useless. Why would anybody use this enchant when you can have something like a strong pets on, or a critical, or literally any other enchant that's going to help your farming setup? You could just throw on some speed potions and some other boosts and it's going to do the exact same job. There's literally no point to this. But now getting it to the enchants that I do recommend empowering, if you're going to empower them, would be all the other ones that I didn't just talk about. So it's going to be your criticals, your diamonds, your lucky eggs, your strong pets, treasure hunter, and I think that's all of them actually. All of these enchants are pretty useful for farming, and most of us are probably going to run at least one of these in our setup. Now obviously if you're going for a hatching setup, it's not going to really benefit you to have a diamonds enchant on, but if you do have the auto farm game pass, then you might want to throw in a diamonds enchant just so you can get extra money while you're hatching the last egg. And a lot of players don't really run strong pets as much. It's kind of fallen out of the meta, I guess you could call it. Criticals is just the superior option. If you really do need that boost in strength for your team setup, then I would recommend using strong pets. And especially in this new update, I think strong pets is going to make kind of a comeback, because the stat pets that it just dropped for this update is really weak, to be honest. My alt account, who doesn't have a full team of huges and is more free to play friendly, it has a really hard time breaking the last area. And even my main account, while I'm not struggling too much to break the last area, I definitely need to run a few criticals, or else I'm not going to be breaking breakables that fast. So within this new update 8, you kind of need the strongest stat pet, which is not that easy to get. And if you don't, you're going to be running a more damage focused build. So a lot of people are probably going to be running strong pets now. And I actually run it on my alt account just because it needs it. And most of you are not going to have a full team of huges or even a full team of exclusives. Most players are not even close to that. So if that sounds familiar to you, then you should probably use strong pets and in combination with like 2 criticals. It depends on how many enchant slots you have, but you're just going to have to adjust it according to what you have. So I'm actually going to be doing a quick test. I'm going to be showcasing the difference between using the regular diamonds enchant versus the empowered one. So as you can see, I'm in the VIP area right now. I have no pets equipped because a lot of them have glittering on it and I don't want that to skew the results. So all I'm going to be doing is just breaking these diamond breakables with just tapping, and I'm going to time it for 1 minute, see how many diamonds I get, and then I'm going to repeat the same thing but with the empowered diamonds enchant. So we're going to get a clear representation of what you can expect to gain. And the difference is only 15%, so it should be quite obvious and we can kind of infer what it's going to be, but just as a visual, here's what it'll look like. All right, so I'm going to walk into this area and I'm going to turn auto tap on and then start my timer at the same time. All right, coming up on the last 5 seconds. All right, so it looks like we gained about 2.19 thousand in 1 minute. Now we're gonna test with the empowered enchant. All right, the last 5 seconds, time. So, that's interesting. The empowered enchant gave pretty much no more diamonds than the regular one. That's pretty disappointing. So it's not a 15% increase. So if we take the number of diamonds that we got for both runs, which was 2,190, and we multiply that by 0.15, it's going to give us 328.5, and then we're going to add that back to the original number, and that means we should have gotten just over 2,500 diamonds with the empowered enchant on, but we didn't. Big games, what's going on here? Everything I just said previously about how empowering enchants are kind of good and that I noticed a difference, maybe I was just imagining it. I don't really know, because the results from this are not very convincing in proving that these are actually more effective. I don't really know what to think of empowered enchants now, so I guess they might be useful. Maybe just this setup wasn't a good representation, but I thought it would be, because I don't know, I felt like that it was pretty controlled. There were really no variables affecting it, except for maybe my timing of stopping the farming being off by like a second or so. But even then, if it was off by a second, we would have still noticed much more diamonds in the second run with the empowered enchant. So I don't know what's going on here. I guess my overall conclusion on empowered enchants, kind of not that good, unless they actually do what they say they're supposed to do. If they actually do provide that boost, then yeah, they're okay, but they still are expensive to actually acquire. But if they don't actually give the boost that they say it gives, then what's the point of this? So I find that to be pretty interesting. I guess we'll have to wait and see if Big Games is going to address empowered enchants and 1, fix that issue I was talking about earlier about the enchants unequipping themselves, and 2, I guess we're gonna have to see if they say anything about the empowered enchants actually boosting the power of your enchants. I really don't know, but let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you enjoyed this video and you found it helpful, make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.